Welcome to the No Format Required podcast, the show where we don't follow any rules or script. It's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. Today we're going retro as we talk about the video games that shaped our childhoods. This is part one of a two-parter because we have way too many stories to tell. As usual, I'm one half of the dynamic duo hosts in this podcast, Mike. And with me, like he always is, the Toad to my Mario, the Diddy Kong to my Donkey Kong, the guy who knows all the cheat codes but loses anyway. It's Charlie. Say hello, Charlie.
Hello, Charlie.
So get ready to grab your controller and press play. It's the No Format Required podcast, does video games from our life. So Charlie, hello.
Hello.
We are going to be talking about video games this week.
We are.
I curated a list of questions, didn't I?
Curated?
Is that the right word?
I don't know. It's quite a fancy word. I think of curator of a museum.
Yeah. I'm going with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sounds pretty good to me.
I made a list of questions. It's similar in style to when we've done movies to take to the afterlife.
Yeah.
So we've done that sort of style, but asked about video games. You're quite a keen video gamer, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
I'm a bit more casual. I used to be a lot more in my childhood.
Yeah.
I say I struggle. I'm now more of a Switch gamer. In other words, I sit on the bus playing on my Switch, and that's it.
Oh.
Every now and again.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure if when you said Switch, whether you meant like you switch between consoles or it meant the Nintendo Switch.
No, I literally just have like 20 minutes on the bus playing it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But that's all right, enough for me.
Yeah. See, I always thought that when I was younger I'd grow out of it, but I haven't. I'm like 32, and I still. I mean, obviously, I probably don't play as much as I did when I was younger. Like, I remember coming home from school, like literally going on straight away, and then Mum and Dad like had to like kind of say, look, you kind of like a few hours a night to play on it because I was just ridiculously.
And then they come in and try and turn it off, and you're like, but I'm not at the save point yet.
Yeah.
GTA was the worst for that, where you had to get to the save.
Oh yeah, you had the little hovering save thing. Yeah, that's true. But no, I do enjoy it. But it's strange though, isn't it? Because like you say, I think there's people, I read news articles of 80, 90-year-olds like gaming, playing Skyrim and things like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure it was Skyrim. There was a 80-odd-year-old who was like really into it. And you think, well, they've not grown up with it.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose we've grown up with gaming in a way, like we've come through.
Oh yeah, we're definitely during the retro, like 8-bit, 16-bit era.
Yeah.
Early days of gaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd completely agree with that. Like, obviously, like the Atari was like in the 70s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was.
But in terms of when games started becoming like plots and stuff like that, that was when we grew up with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So on the subject of that, what was the first console you remember playing, Charlie?
PS1.
PS1.
Yeah, I didn't have any of like the Nintendo 64 or anything like that. It was
So you adopted a bit late, really.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play. It wasn't it was a computer. Like my dad used to have his sort of work laptop, and it was the thing you used to have to put floppy disks in. Like you put one into
the MS-DOS drive type thing.
So I do remember playing a few. I can't even remember like games on that. Like you'd put in, I think it was like some sort of driving sort of game. But yeah, the first console was a PlayStation PS1.
Yeah.
Which at the time when I got it, I thought, "God, this is amazing! Like graphics aren't going to get any better than this." And then I've just before we were starting the podcast, I was just watching a walkthrough play of a game on one of the first games I played, and just like how like crap the graphics were. Like you can get better graphics on your phone now, but it's What about you? What was the first console for you?
I've got a vague recollection of like having an Atari. Like, it must have been my dad's or something like that, a Commodore 64 or one of those. I just remember like a sort of joystick. But I can't remember much more than that. But the first console I owned was a Sega Mega Drive.
Oh, okay.
I always get confused with this because I know there's the Sega Mega Drive, the Genesis, and all that sort of stuff. I've got no idea what the difference between any of them are.
No.
I think I had a Sega Mega Drive, but I don't know what type.
Okay.
But that was the first one I remember owning until a hamster we got from school chewed through the cables on the controllers. That was quite annoying. And then the B button didn't work as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, so back then, like, consoles were, well, I mean, they are expensive now, but it's a lot like, well, I suppose you could replace the wire, but you know what I mean? It's a lot of money when you're a kid, like you can't afford.
No, well, I don't think we ever did replace it.
Do you know what?
No, I just remember this broken controller. We had two at least. But
Yeah. See, I never... I did like the N64. I had a few friends that had them, and I always get, because there's like the SNES and there's loads of different ones that I don't really.
Yeah, see, I didn't have the NES or the SNES. My aunt had one of the two. I can't remember what. I'm pretty sure she had the NES because it was like had a like lift up flap where you put the cartridge in and then you folded it down.
Yeah.
And one of my friends had the SNES, so I remember we used to go around his and play Mario. I used to come around mine and play like Sonic and things like that. So we had a nice little even mix of the two.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, definitely I've gone through most consoles in my life. I'd say I've owned all of them at least once.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Okay. What like the original old sort of games?
Well, yeah, I mean so consoles I've had throughout my growing up. I've had obviously started with Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Then we got Nintendo 64. Then I remember getting a GameCube and a PlayStation, an Xbox. Got a PS2, had a PS3, had a Wii, had a... What was it? The Wii U.
Oh, okay.
Had the Switch. I've had them all at some point.
Yeah. So the only Nintendo I had was the Wii when it came out.
I think everyone had the Wii at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, it was... I mean, that console was more of a... I sort of call it as like a party console. Like, it's not... I don't know. I mean, well, you could play it by yourself, but I think it was more the ones that you played with other people.
Yeah, we had one at uni, and I'd say a lot of the games that I had on some of my consoles through uni, they were for the party sort of thing.
Yeah,
I remember we had Rock Band and Sing Star and all that sort of stuff.
Brilliant game. Yeah, I mean, I keep debating about getting a Switch, but I look at it and there's not that massive. Cause I don't think I'm into a lot of the Nintendo games.
Oh, but it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, like Final Fantasy, I've never even played it.
That's not a Nintendo game.
Oh, was it?
No, that's
Was it for across all platforms?
Yeah. If you're talking more like the Nintendo only games, so like Mario, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Pokemon.
See, I like them games to play like on my phone and stuff, but then I suppose like the Switch is you've got it. It's a portable device, isn't it? But
it's worth getting the Switch for Breath of the Wild. But we'll talk about that probably next episode.
Okay, fair enough. So next question is, what was the first video game you remember playing?
We talked about the MS-DOS. Well, we also talked about Atari, but I don't really remember. Part of me has vague recollections of Pong on it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember much more than that. But the first one I remember is Prince of Persia, but old school.
Oh, okay.
So side scrolling, trying to avoid the switches that drop things and spikes coming out to you.
Yeah.
That was the first one I ever remember playing. I don't remember ever completing it. But yeah.
Okay. See, Prince of Persia, I always think of the film with Jake Gyllenhaal in.
The classic Persian actor.
And he's American, but put on an English accent.
Oh, does it?
Something that's set in Persia, which makes no sense whatsoever. At least either just stick with the American accent or try and put, I don't know, a Arabic accent maybe. I don't know. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. I love the Prince of Persia games. They're apparently remaking The Sound of Time. Do you ever remember that one?
I've never played. I didn't even realise that it was a game until the film.
Oh, really?
I remember seeing the film and then realising...
It's basically a precursor-ish in terms of the climbing and stuff like that to Assassin's Creed.
Oh, okay.
You can wall jump and all that sort of stuff.
That'd be a good remake, for them to do a remake.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure they are doing in terms of when they went 3D. Yeah. So obviously when I played it, the first one I remember is side scroller. Then they went 3D, The Sands of Time.
Yeah.
Which had a great feature in which you literally had a dagger that you could rewind time with. So if you went further to your death, you could rewind time, but you could only do it a certain amount of time, sort of thing.
Okay.
And then you had Forgotten Sands and stuff like that, all the sequels. But yeah, apparently they're remaking it.
Yeah, okay.
I always enjoyed that franchise. But yeah, that was the first one that I've sort of got memories of playing. Okay. How about yourself?
I had two. So one that I briefly said I was rewatching a gameplay trailer a minute ago. G-Police, which is... I was trying to... You're sort of flying around in the Wikipedia describes it as a 1997 combat flight simulation video game, and apparently science fiction setting inspired by Blade Runner. Apparently.
Oh.
But I sort of remember it was some sort of like a policing game that you were sort of flying around, kind of a bit like open world, like you sort of flying around a futuristic city. But yeah, I think that was. I don't know if that was.
You're in a car flying, aren't you?
Yeah. Sorry, you're in like some sort of
You're not
spaceship thing. Yeah, no, you're not Superman. But yeah, I think it was a game I got with the PlayStation 1. So it's not something that I chose to get. I think it just came with the PS1.
Why are you saying that? I wonder if it's on the PlayStation Classic.
Maybe.
Let's have a quick look.
But yeah, no, I don't like. I've sort of watched a few gameplay videos just to sort of kind of re-jog my memory. But yeah, very.
No, it's not.
Is it?
It's not on the PlayStation Classic, but for some reason it rang a bell as being on there.
Oh, okay. So there was that one and Tomb Raider.
The first one.
Yeah.
I've tried replaying that recently.
Have you?
So difficult.
Yeah. Well, you've got to because again, that was something that I played on PC, and it's like when you sort of I don't know, walking up to things or jumping, you got to really line up the character to jump.
That's what I really struggled with. And even the second one, which improves on it massively.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the first obstacle course in the opening game at the mansion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you done the bit where you've locked the butler in the fridge, in the freezer?
No, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I've never played Tomb Raider like the originals. I remember playing Tomb Raider Legacy, I think.
One
PS2.
of the newer ones. Yeah.
So I completed the obstacle course. I've got no idea where I'm meant to be going now.
No.
I've gone into the mansion. It's like this big open space with nothing in it because they didn't animate it.
Okay.
Because why would you put all your power into putting chairs and stuff around?
Yeah.
Literally, the bath is just a hole in the floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was quite good that you could sort of kind of go on a bit of a free. I mean, like you say, it wasn't very detailed, but like the free room of the mansion. But Lauren bought me I didn't really get into it. She bought me a Tomb Raider game. They sort of did a few newer ones. They sort of did two newer ones. I don't know if that was Legacy.
There was a few. Are you on about the reboot one?
The reboot, yeah.
Yeah. They weren't. It wasn't called Legacy, but.
Was it not?
No.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, never really. They were alright, but I mean, I remember the first one for PC, I think it was 4 discs.
Yeah.
Or big, thick, the Tomb Raider 2
the
big,
days
thick
of
days.
numerous discs.
Yeah. Even for Xbox and stuff, I think was it Cyberpunk? When I got that was a couple of discs.
Oh, really?
I think it was an installation disc and a gameplay. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was 2 discs. But yeah, even when some of the newer Grand Theft Auto, and these are for Xbox, these were for, you know what I mean, for consoles. But yeah, PC, you had one of 6 discs to, which now you could easily probably fit about 10 of them games on about 100,000 of them on just a USB now, couldn't you? So,
very much so.
Yeah, so they were the first 2 games. So, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, or other?
For me, it's Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Why's that?
I don't know. I just think I really enjoy Zelda.
Yeah.
Zelda's my favourite franchise of all time. Love all of them, played all of them.
Yeah.
Big fan of Mario. And it's slowly getting a lot more of the third-party games onto it.
Yeah.
And it's recently Xbox has struck a deal with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty onto it and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
So slowly it's getting all of these big games.
Well, you can get FIFA and things for it now. And...
Yeah, but apparently FIFA's not great on it. But yeah, you can get Skyrim.
Yeah.
And yeah, so slowly these games are coming onto there.
Yeah, okay.
But I've just always been a Nintendo fan. The only issue with it is their first party games.
Yeah.
Never go down in price.
Oh, really?
They're so expensive, even if they've been out for years.
Oh, really? It's a shame, isn't it? Because, I mean, I understand everything's going up in this economy and things, but...
I mean, even second-hand. So, there's people selling them second-hand don't...
Oh,
prices,
really?
Yeah.
I suppose there's some games are just not, for me, I'm really trying to get... I would love a remake of... actually, no, we'll leave that one.
Okay.
I'm going to leave that bit.
So how about you? What's your...
So it used to be PlayStation, so I had PS1, PS2, then I switched to Xbox, so I got 360, then Xbox One, and now I've got the Series X. But yeah, PlayStation was the first console, but now Yeah, Xbox. I much prefer it.
Yeah, Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft. Yeah, like, I mean, I've got my Xbox Game Pass that I can link up to my computer.
Yeah, see, that's quite good with the Xbox, I have to say,
because it's all linked in. But I mean, there are. I don't know. I have a soft spot for PlayStation because it was like the first console. But yeah, there's like obviously games for like Halo. I love Halo, and that's Xbox only game. I suppose like The Last of Us for PlayStation. I've never played that. Each have got their own, but
yeah, same as for me. I'm annoyed that I haven't got a PS5 because I really want to play the Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because Spider-Man 1 was one of the best games I've ever played in my life.
See, I remember getting the first Spider-Man for PlayStation, and then where it was like they had no floor, which was black, and then they brought the second one out where you could actually land on the floor, and it was just like free roaming around New York, and obviously, I used to love it. Sometimes I wasn't even doing the missions; I was just like swinging from building to building.
And being narrated by Stanley as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realise that. But yeah, the newest one that came out for PlayStation looked really good.
Absolutely. So the newest Spider-Man story in that video game is the best Spider-Man story ever told.
Really?
Like, in terms of like the media sort of thing like that, movies.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Loved it.
Yeah, it's a shame they can't. But I suppose, they want to get people to buy a PlayStation, so they
got into it.
Yeah. But.
Yeah. So what's your favourite video game soundtrack?
So I found this a bit difficult, and then I've actually just changed it since I originally sent the list. So initially I had, I think it was Mercenaries 2, but it was only one song.
Yeah, I remember you sending it, and I listened to it, and it was a very odd song.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. I think it was made for the trailer of the game, and I was thinking, it's not really a soundtrack, it's just one song that I really liked. But I've actually changed it to Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Interesting. Has it got loads of sea shanties in then?
Exactly, that's why. Because I love a good sea shanty.
Oh, yeah.
I do love a good sea shanty. But yeah, because you sort of, when you're on your ship, have you ever played it?
I've played bits of it.
Yeah.
I tried to play with Lauren, but because she's got a massive fear of the sea, she didn't enjoy playing it. But yeah, I've played bits of it, but not. That's why I gave up. I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, and then I couldn't get into Black Flag.
Oh, see, Black Flag's probably, with the new Valhalla, probably up there with my favourite.
Oh, really?
With Assassin's Creed. But yeah, you're sort of on the ship, and then you could, they just sing sea shanties. Well, you could either get them to. It's kind of a bit like, I suppose, driving around on Grand Theft Auto with your radio playing.
You know what? I didn't even think about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that would have been a good chat, actually, because there's some good.
I saw a post recently on Facebook, which was like, the Grand Theft Auto radio station is better than any radio station ever made in the world. And it's so true. It's so good.
We have you've got a mix of everything, haven't you?
Yeah, and DJs are just, I know that it's because it's all scripted, so it's written to be good.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously live radio, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But it is phenomenal.
Really, I mean, is it Laszlo from Grand Theft Auto?
Potentially.
He was one of the presenters on it. I think he ended up doing a few missions involving him, but he's like sort of this kind of corrupt radio presenter that's kind of got all this money, and but yeah. So what about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to change my answer, even though actually I think that might be better than what I've got. But for me, it's GoldenEye.
Okay.
Because just the orchestral sounds of I'd forgotten about it until I started playing it since it's been released again on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And actually, just the music is so iconic.
Yeah.
And the sound effects in it, everything about that music is just great. You'd be able to hear it and instantly flash back to the 90s playing 4-player multiplayer with some friends.
Yeah, that's what you mean. It's very distinctive.
Yeah.
When I played, was it GoldenEye that they've redone?
Yeah.
And as soon as I sort of played that, as soon as you hear that entrance, you turn the game on and you hear it, you're it's very distinctive,
and the thump, thump sort of thing.
Yeah.
As you're going through the menus.
Yeah. No, that was good. Okay. What is your favourite story in a video game?
So I've written this answer. I know you said something earlier, and I genuinely, am I getting old? I can't even remember what it is you said. And I was like, oh, that's also a really good story. But I can't remember what it was now.
What, a game that said?
Yeah.
Was it mentioned about The Matrix?
No, it was since we've been recording.
Oh.
So something that Charlie said earlier, okay. I was like, oh yeah, that was a phenomenal story.
Yeah.
But I've written a little indie game called Horace.
Okay.
I can't massively remember it all.
Yeah.
I played it literally obsessively.
Yeah.
The story was just it was just insane. So the whole thing's narrated by this robot called Horace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally got this tinny robot voice, and he voices all the characters in the story. So it's like 8-bit game, well, a bit more than 8-bit, I'd say about a 16-bit game, and he's on a mission to clean up all the sort of like rubbish from the world.
Yeah.
But there's like
sounds a bit like Wall-E.
It's so weird. No, everything's got like British pop culture references, and like it's insane the amount of pop culture references in it from like the 90s, 80s, even beyond, from just British culture.
Okay.
And it's just a charming story. Like so gameplay wise, you sort of like gravity. So if you're walking along the street, that's fine. But then you can like walk up the wall and go sideways. But if you jump off and then there's nothing underneath you, even if you're going sideways, you just fall off the earth.
Okay.
So that's where the sort of like gameplay comes in.
Yeah.
I remember laughing and crying. I genuinely cried at this video game.
Yeah.
I wish I remember. Well, I know why I did cry. I wish I could remember what sort of like the events causing that.
Yeah.
There was a death that caused me to cry in the game. But yeah, it's just insane how one tiny robot can give such heart to a game.
Okay.
I really recommend it.
How
about yourself?
So I put Assassin's Creed, the whole series.
I don't disagree with that.
I think how they've done it, like with the sort of kind of playing the sort of lineage or the descendants of different people throughout the ages. I mean, I think it was the first 3 that were sort of linked with the same person, with Desmond. I sort of had.
I found the third one a bit weaker. Like, I remember the second one having an amazing cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then the third one just didn't live up to it.
Yeah. That was that Ezio Auditore, wasn't it? Set in Renaissance.
It was like this a golden egg sort of thing. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was like something linked with aliens, I think.
How was it?
I think so.
I just remember being disappointed.
See, the first, because there was a bit of a gap between the first one and the second one. And I remember being stuck on a mission on the first one for ages, and I gave up with it. And then I think I might Googled or whatever I had to do it, and then I finally did it. And then sort of, I got really back into it, because that was the Crusades, I think the first one was set. But yeah, no, I mean, I say recently, I think it was a couple of years ago now, Viking Valhalla was the most recent one, which was really good. And obviously, we mentioned earlier about Black Flag. But yeah, I just think like it seems to link throughout the whole sort of series of games, all links into each other and things, which I think is really good. Yeah, no,
I do agree. And then didn't they sort of like make it so like EA effectively have made games inside the world? Like later on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the series, like the when they're set in London and stuff like that.
Yeah, also sort of like because they go into the Animus. I think it's the Animus.
Yeah.
Sort of, like as a simulation that EA of. Yeah, that's what you mean. But yeah, no, that was a really good game. And I've not known like a series of games where you're playing like Vikings, it's all linked, and then obviously medieval times to Renaissance times to. I mean, obviously it's a similar game, like it's not completely different game, but yeah, I just like how they've done it.
Yeah, I agree.
So for you, Mike, linear or open world?
Easy one. This open world.
Yeah.
I don't like being told what I need to do.
Yeah.
I like sort of like be able to explore options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you the same then?
Yeah, I'm open world. I used to like linear. Like I used to like to be sort of told what I was doing, but now, like, I don't. Yeah, I like the sort of free reign, and I think a lot of games are becoming more open world. Like a lot of the time, I mean, I suppose like your sort of FIFAs and Call of Duties and them sort of games, like it is very much thingy. But now, like a lot of games they sort of tend to try and make them open world.
Because, or if not, big world maps that you can explore, even if they're not open world per se.
Yeah, exactly. But I think just so much more you can do on the game with side missions. Like you could just, one of the games I'll discuss later, but sort of I'm just doing the side missions on it, just because I think sometimes if I sort of power through the main quest, I complete it, and then it's like, I can't bother with the side missions after that, so I'm sort of trying to do all the side missions.
So, we'll come
to that one.
I was just about to say, actually, because my answer for it isn't that. But like Skyrim, I've owned Skyrim on 3 or 4 different consoles.
Oh, okay.
I'm still yet to complete it because I just focus on the side missions. And I forget what the main story is.
Well, I mean, I've got a thing about Skyrim, but should we talk about that later?
Yeah, when we come on to it. So on the subject of open world games, what's your favourite one?
GTA 5.
It's a great one.
Because I've had it for Xbox One. No, I've had it for Xbox 360, then I bought it for Xbox One, then I've had it for Xbox Series X. I think they remastered it for Xbox. Yeah. So it's a game that I've had for 3 consoles that they still...
It's that famous thing, like, the PS3 had, I think it's PS3 or PS2, had 3 GTA games, and GTA 5 had 3 consoles.
Oh, really?
Sort of like PlayStation consoles.
I mean, for a business thing, for a business side, if you look at the game, they're just making coin. They don't need to make another GTA.
It's the online stuff that's making them money, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I've not bought anything online, like as in used my real money to it. But yeah, I mean, obviously the story mode's really good.
Oh yeah,
like switching between the 3 characters. But like the online thing, like I mean, they're just constantly like having updates, and I can buy yachts now, apartments. Oh really? Fancy.
I've actually played it online since it first came out.
Have you not?
No.
See, I sort of flicker into it. Like, I mean, I've probably not played on it for a good year and a half now, but I've sort of had a thing where I'll reinstall it and I'll go back on, and my character, my character's still there that I probably created about 8 or 9 years ago now from when it first came out.
I might have to give you a game of that at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to play it. Yeah, still got my garage and my car. I've got an apartment. I think. I mean, I would like a yacht because you get like a yacht with a helicopter pad, but it's like millions of dollars, and I probably end up having to use in-game money. But you do these heists and things which are good.
Yeah.
I really enjoy them.
Are they better on the online? Because on the main story, I wasn't the biggest fan of them.
Yeah, they're better online. The only issue is, so you have to do all the little pre-missions before you do the big heist. Unless you're playing with like 4, I think it's 4 of you you'd have to do it with. So unless you're playing with 4 of you, if you're just waiting for like drop-in matches, sometimes you can be just waiting for ages for to find a thing, and then it might not be the specific mission that you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's good because you have like, you do your different, like you all have a different job within the heist. So like somebody's the driver, you know what I mean? Someone maybe the sniper, 2 people are in the bank, like keeping people down, depending on what heist you're doing. I mean, there's the one where you have to go and get a submarine or something, or one where you have to get a plane.
That's on the main story. You have to do that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that. You get a submarine.
There is a submarine though on the online one now. Okay. I'm sure there is. But yeah, so no. What about yourself?
For me, I'm not going to go too much into detail on it because it's an answer later, so I think I'll save it for a chat then.
Okay.
But it's Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
Or is it an answer for later?
Okay.
No, it's not an answer for later, so we'll talk about it now.
Okay.
It's just like, it's like they stopped and watched every sort of like open world game out there, and took elements from it, from what made everything great, and just put it into a game. It's just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
You don't even get annoyed like if your character starts to get hungry and you have to eat and things like that. It's just so well made.
Yeah.
And like if you go to different sort of like climates, so like you can climb up a volcano, for example. Mm-hmm. If you're climbing up there, obviously you get too hot, so you have to wear clothes that cool you down and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
They've thought about everything. It's so good. So clever.
Quite detailed. Reminds me a little bit of like Red Dead Redemption was the first time I'd seen that, where you were like, if you're in the desert, if you were too hot, if you're wearing too many clothes, you had to sort of like kind of de-kit, and vice versa. Which, I mean, that is obviously is not as much detail as having to eat and things like that.
Well, in it as well, like from the off, you can explore the whole place if you wanted to. You can go right to the end boss if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You wouldn't win. I'm sure there's people out there who have.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it doesn't hold your hand through the whole journey. Well, it doesn't hold your hand at all, really. It doesn't really teach you how to play. You learn by making mistakes, and then it's like it is genuinely, people have described it as like the child's version of like Dark Souls and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because it can be a bit brutal at times if you go somewhere that you genuinely don't have the strength to sort of win.
Yeah.
But you slowly learn how to sort of like, for example, you might see some enemies that are in a skull, and your first time you lose against them, but then the next time you go, you might say, oh, hold on a second, there's a lantern above them. If I shoot an arrow into that, it'll fall, causing a fire, which will then spread. So, like, you can use tactics and stuff and learn from your mistakes. Okay. It's just a great open world game.
Is that a Nintendo only game? See, Zelda, I remember swapping my friend for my original Game Boy, and I played a bit of Zelda, but I just never really...
I played, I'd say, almost all the Zelda games out there.
Okay.
There's only, like, a handful, mainly for the DS that I haven't played.
Interesting. So next one, Mike, FIFA or PES or Pro Evo Soccer?
For me,
Yeah.
it was because I have not played either of them in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know most people are FIFA, and I know for a fact that you're FIFA.
Yeah.
For me, I felt you had more control over the players.
Yeah, I think I only played Pro Evolution Soccer a couple of times, but I'd probably say that the gameplay was probably better.
It's just a bit more arcadey, and because of that, like, yes, you can't do all this skills with the balls and stuff like that necessarily. You can a bit,
yeah.
But like, if you move a character one direction, he'll just go that way with the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas in FIFA, it might take a few sort of like kicks of the touches to actually get that in that direction.
See, the only thing I didn't like about Pro Evolution Soccer was it wasn't officially thingy.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be fake names.
Yeah, like I remember I support Middlesbrough, and it was like, I think it was like Teesside United or something, and like there were certain teams, like I think Arsenal was normally Barcelona and things like that, but I never really liked it.
But the first ever football game I played was a game called International Superstar Soccer.
Oh, I think I've seen it.
Which is what Pro Evolution Soccer eventually turned from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where it's just all come from. Like me and my brother used to play that game all the time.
When was the last, FIFA or PES that you had?
I remember a song called Gasolina.
Okay.
And that's, I want to say, like, definitely in the noughties.
Okay.
In a while.
Oh, see, I've just thought of a even better soundtrack for a game. FIFA 99.
FIFA 99, yeah.
Really
a lot of the FIFA games have amazing soundtracks.
Yeah, like, I bet there's songs on that anytime I hear them, I always think of that game. And I remember having it for PC, Dennis Bergkamp on the front for Arsenal. I used to play it on PC, I didn't have it on console. And I always remember, like, if I press Q, it used to do this really weird thing where if you had the ball, you'd like gallop with the ball.
Oh, okay.
But if I didn't have the ball and press Q, it was like a fucking horrendous tackle, and you'd normally get sent off. So I always used to like, I don't know why I was remember that random fact. But
you just reminded me as well, another sort of soundtrack, Tony Hawk.
Ah, yeah.
That's also, I remember, I want to say the third one. There was a sort of like stadium, and if you skated in the right place, the stadium curtains would come up, and Kiss would start playing I Want to Rock and Roll All Night.
Oh, really?
And I used to love it. I used to always skate in that area and open up that secret bit.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So last question of the episode. COD, Battlefield, or Medal of Honor?
So I'm pretty sure originally I just put COD and Battlefield for this question. And I was like, I don't really play either of those two.
No? So is it Medal of Honor then? Or
I used to play Medal of Honor all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not really a game anymore. Like,
no.
But Medal of Honor, I was obsessed with. Like,
yeah,
I can't remember which one it was, but there was one in which you went through like the beaches of Normandy.
I think that was the first one,
and it was so good.
I remember it. I think I know. I might not have been the first one.
You like start off on the boat, like floating.
Yeah, it reminded me, like playing it reminded me of the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what it reminded me of as well.
Like even some of the things that you saw in it, like clips of like somebody being dragged with the legs blown off and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of things saying that it was like, I suppose, obviously, as realistic as you can probably get to actually being there.
So that's what it is for me. It's realism without over sort of dramatizing the story or doing anything like that, because I feel that's where I know, like, I can't remember what you've written, but I'm 99% sure you picked COD.
Yeah.
And for me, COD, like, it almost glorifies it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Whereas Medal of Honor isn't about glorifying it. It's
like
about
showing you
the real stories involved in the war and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. See, I used to be Battlefield. So one of my first games not one of the first games I was playing, but one of the games I used to play a load was Battlefield 1942.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mix between, it was like open world kind of thing on the map, like going, like randomly going to Spitfire or a bomber or a boat or plane. I mean, I used to love that game like that, and that was one of the games we were talking about before, like where I sort of, mum and dad used to have to give me time limits on it because I just used to fucking smash it. But yeah, I used to love that, and there was I used to sort of follow it through, but then I kind of, I don't know, I just got sort of bored of it. Like, not bored of it, but the sort of game kind of did, as they sort of releasing new ones and things, they just weren't the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I only say COD because I've not had COD in ages, like years. Like one of the things, FIFA and COD every year, I'd buy FIFA and COD, and then I just got bored of COD because once you do the story mode, which I always really enjoy, and then the multiplayer was just like the spray and pray.
See, I think that's why I was awful at multiplayer.
The new one, because I remember my friend Adam have sort of got into it, and again, he was same as me, not got COD for ages, and I sort of looking at this one up, just like curious when it came out last year, watching a few gameplay, and there's a few new modes on it. So sort of I bought it, and then he ended up buying it, and now we like probably play it most weeks together.
Oh, really?
There's a mode, it's called DMZ. It's still in the beta phase, but you go into a map, like huge map, and you sort of play against. So you're in a team of 3, an operator, and then there's I think there's maybe another 20 teams or so, maybe even more, maybe 30 teams on the map. Then obviously the map's full of AI. So you have, I think it's 25 minutes. So they have these extraction points. So you've got to do missions. You've got 25 minutes to do as various different missions, and you can unlock things depending on what mission you do, and then get out. So obviously you can be killed by AI, killed by other teams, but obviously you gather equipment as you go in, like guns and stuff. But if you die, that's it. You sort of, next time you go in, you lose all your weapons, lose any equipment you have, and you've got to start again. But you can be, like, if you get shot by another team, you can plead for them to come and join their team. So yeah, it's good. Like that, we just play that. So I don't really play on the typical Call of Duty sort of. I do a bit, but not that often.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, that's the only reason I'd probably say COD now, just for that game mode. So yeah, so shall we wrap it up here
I think
for this episode?
Yeah.
Some nice to think about, like old games and things that.
Like for our era, they definitely like sort of not inspired. That's the wrong word, but like you got the memories there of them, and they definitely like they took us through life, like sort of thing. As weird as it sounds.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And sometimes I can think of parts of my life when I got that game where I was like, remember when I GTA 5, I was at Tesco.
Yeah.
I remember going with my mate to buy it. Well, he worked at Tesco. I remember we were both buying it, like, and little things like that. And one of the other GTAs, I remember waiting outside another Tesco with my mum because I was under 18 and I couldn't buy it.
I remember like GTA 5, getting it on day one, texting my friends like the download screen, like it was like an 8-hour download to actually play the game.
Yeah.
But like I remember I had an Asterix and Obelix game for my Mega Drive.
Oh, okay.
And I remember we walked to like this little like second-hand store to buy it. It was like, you just have these little memories of.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that you can do that, isn't it?
Right. So yes, we'll see you next week when we continue this list. When I never do this, but we should probably start plugging it. Don't forget to like sort of follow and like us on the actual podcast.
Yeah.
That feed themselves. Leave us a comment if you want to.
Yeah.
If you want to say how great we are, that'd be better than just leaving a comment.
And just share it. Share the fuck out of it.
Or share it, tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Search No Format Required. You can find us. I'm not sure exactly what our things are.
Yeah.
But there'll be something along those lines.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week for part 2.
See you next week.